Good day, learners! Sir Eljay here, and welcome to a fun and exciting episode here for Physical Education 9. Last episode, we discussed the introduction for injuries and emergency in sports setting. We also learned why we need to apply first aid to an injured person. For today's episode, we're going to learn the second part of first aid for injuries and emergency in sports setting. We're going to understand the different sport-related injuries and how we are going to treat them. Are you ready for our lesson today? Great! But before that, I want you to get a piece of paper and pen to write down all the important details that we're going to discuss in this episode. Fill in the blank. I will give you 3 seconds to fill the missing word in the sentence. Number 1. Blank is an immediate care that one should provide when a person is injured or ill until full medical treatment is available. Is it primary assessment or first aid? If your answer is first aid, you got it right. Number 2. There are 3 objectives in first aid. First is blank. Second is to minimize injuries or to prevent them from happening. And last is to hasten or promote recovery. Is it to save lives or to check the airways? If your answer is to save lives, very good. Number 3. The blank is a quickly checking of the person to determine his or her initial condition and whether there are any life-threatening concerns. Is it secondary assessment or primary assessment? The answer is primary assessment. Who got the perfect score? Very good! Since you all know how to perform the primary and secondary assessment in applying first aid, let's move to our main discussion on this episode, which is the different sports-related injuries and how to apply first aid to it. Let's start our lesson about sport-related injuries. Let me enumerate the common injuries that we encounter during PE class or doing physical activities. 1 is sprain. Sprain occurs when you overextend or tear a ligament while severely stressing a joint. Ligaments are bands of fibrous tissue that connects bones to bones at your joints. Sprains often occur in the following circumstances. 1. Walking or exercising on an even surface. 2. Landing awkwardly from a jump. 3. Pivoting during an athletic activity. And last, landing on an outstretched hand during a fall. Another injury that we encounter is strain. Strain is an injury to a muscle or a tendon. The tendon is the fibrous tissue that connects muscles to bones. Minor injuries may only overstretch a muscle or a tendon, while more severe injuries may involve partial or complete tears in these tissues. The acute strains can be caused by one event, such as using poor body mechanics to lift something heavy, while the chronic muscle strains can cause from repetitive injuries when you stress a muscle by doing the same motion over and over. The signs and symptoms of sprain and strain will vary, depending on the severity of injury, and may include pain, swelling, bruising or redness, limited motion, muscle weakness for strain. What is the first aid for these injuries? Let's assume that the person is conscious. The first thing to do is to check the area if it is safe to conduct first aid and apply the secondary assessment. After secondary assessment, protect the injured part of the person, especially if it is sprain. Next is apply RICE method, where R stands for rest, I stands for ice, and C stands for compress, and E stands for elevate. For rest, rest the sprained or strained area. Help the victim to sit or lie down comfortable to avoid necessary movement that can add to the suffering of the victim. Next is ice. Ice the injured area for 20 minutes every hour. Never put ice directly against the skin or it may damage the skin. Use a thin towel for protection. Next is compress. To reduce swelling and chance of internal bleeding, compress the injured area by wrapping an elastic bandage or sleeve lightly around the joint or limb. And last is elevate. While resting, icing, and compressing the injured area, elevate the joint on pillows or anything that can use to elevate the injured area. To reduce swelling, keep the injured area above the heart level. To avoid this kind of injury, always do a regular stretching and strengthening exercises. Do it as part of an overall physical conditioning program. Another common sports-related injury is muscle cramps. Muscle cramps are sudden, involuntary contractions that occurs in various muscles. These contractions are often painful and can affect different muscle groups. Commonly affected muscles include those in the back of your lower leg, the back of your thigh, and the front of your thigh. A sudden, sharp pain lasting from a few seconds to 15 minutes is the most common symptoms of muscle cramp. Muscle cramps have several causes. Some cramps result from overuse of your muscles. This typically occurs when you're exercising. Muscle injuries and dehydration can also trigger cramps. Dehydration is the excessive loss of fluids in the body. Low levels of any of the following minerals that contribute to healthy muscle function may also cause muscle cramps. First is calcium, second is potassium, third is sodium, and fourth is magnesium. Low blood supplies to your legs and feet can cause cramping in those areas when you exercise, walk, or participate in physical activities. For treatment, you can apply hot or cold compress to your sore muscles at the first sign of spasm to ease the pain of muscle cramps. You can use any of the following: a hot cloth, a heating pad, a cold cloth, and ice. Stretching the affected muscle can also alleviate the pain of muscle cramps. For example, if your calf is cramping, you could pull your foot upward with your hand to stretch the calf muscle. The simplest way to prevent muscle cramps is to avoid or limit the exercises that strain your muscles and cause cramps. You can also, first, stretch or warm up before participating in sports and exercising. And last, make sure that you drink enough liquid to avoid dehydration. Heat exhaustion is a condition whose symptoms may include heavy sweating and a rapid pulse, a result of your body overheating. It's one of the three heat-related syndromes, with heat cramps being the mildest and the heat stroke being the most severe. Causes of the heat exhaustion include exposure to high temperatures, particularly when combined with high humidity and strenuous physical activity. Signs and symptoms of heat exhaustion may develop suddenly or over time, especially with prolonged periods of exercise. Possible heat exhaustion signs and symptoms include cool, moist skin with goosebumps when in the heat, heavy sweating, faintness, dizziness, fatigue, weak, rapid pulse, low blood pressure upon standing, muscle cramps, nausea, headache. If you think you're experiencing heat exhaustion, stop all activity and rest, move to a cooler place, drink cool water or sports drinks. Also, a common injury is fracture. A fracture is a broken bone. It can range from a thin crack to a complete break. Bone can fracture crosswise, lengthwise, in several places, or in many pieces. Most fractures happen when a bone is impacted by more force or pressure than it can support. Some common causes of fractures include falling from high grounds, direct strikes to your body, traumatic events such as car accidents, injuries from sports. Let's assume that the person is conscious. The first thing to do is to check the area if it is safe to conduct first aid and apply the primary assessment. If there is any bleeding, stop any bleeding. Apply pressure to the wound with sterile bandage, a clean cloth, or a clean piece of clothing. After you stop the bleeding, apply the secondary assessment and the RICE method. I hope you enjoy our today's discussion. Once again, this is Sir Eljay. Always remember that first aid can save lives and all of us must have knowledge about it. And now, let's learn the impact of healthy environment with Teacher Tony.
Great day to all of you, and thank you for staying in our educational channel, DepEd TV. Let us make your body, your heart, and your mind healthy. With me, Teacher Tony, your instructor for today. Join me as we discover more about communities and the environment here on our second learning episode. Together, we will shine here on Health Education 9. Last week, we have learned the concepts of community health and environmental health and how it directly affects the health condition of us humans. We also discussed the 10 characteristics of a healthy community, as stated by the World Health Organization. Always bear in your mind and in your heart that as a youth, you possess a crucial role to the environment. Your cooperation will serve as a foundation for others to initiate desirable health attitudes, habits, and practices for a healthy community. Today, our goal for this learning episode is that you should be able to explain how a healthy environment positively impacts the health of people and communities. Talking about healthy environments, why don't you join me in a virtual tour in the cleanest and greenest city in our country? Sounds great, right? But before that, please allow me to have a quick costume change. In 3, 2, and 1. We miss traveling, don't we? Come and join me as we explore Puerto Princesa City, Palawan. Together, let's find out how a healthy environment like theirs contribute to the positive impact to human health and community. Puerto Princesa City, the country's largest city, with a total land area of 253,982 hectares, is very rich in natural resources. It forms part of what they call the Philippines' last biodiversity frontier, because it still maintains more than 50% of its original forest cover, and it still has vast stretches of old-growth forests on its mountainous slopes. It is home to 2 United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization or UNESCO World Heritage Sites. These UNESCO sites are the Puerto Princesa Subterranean River National Park, which includes the world's longest navigable underground river, and the Tubataha Reefs Natural Park, the spectacular uninhabited coral reef atolls with thousands of abundant manta rays, whale sharks, marine turtles, sharks, and more than 400 species of fish. Wow! What more can you ask for? These sites are indeed Instagram-worthy, and I can't help myself to take a selfie. 3, 2, 1, smile! There are really a lot of exciting destinations that Puerto Princesa City in Palawan has to offer. It is no doubt that its environment is remarkably healthy, providing its people the opportunity to achieve physical and mental well-being. So, our dear learners turned explorers, can we say that environment has a direct impact to human health? Yes, definitely. Our eyes were already filled with a lot of beautiful sceneries. But before we move on with our next destinations, let me have a quick costume change again. In 3, 2, and 1. Alright, teacher mode on. Let us first fill our minds with necessary information that we can use as we resume later in our virtual tour. Are you familiar with the different types of environment? In this particular discussion, we are going to differentiate three types of environment. We have what we call social environment, which refers to the immediate physical and social setting in which people live or in which something happens or develops. Of course, we are familiar with the natural environment that encompasses all living and non-living things occurring naturally in which us, humans, interact with. Finally, we have the so-called built environment, or the human-made environment that provides the setting for human activities. These three comprise our respective communities, which directly influence the condition of human health. Anything that happens in the environment, whether positive or negative, will have an effect to the health conditions of living organisms, especially to us humans. It is also important to take note of these determinants of a healthy environment. Well-maintained homes, well-paved streets and roads, sanitary waterworks system, clean and safe mini-parks, abundant trees and greeneries, fresh air and clean natural waters, proper waste and disposal system, safe workplace. The environment's effect on our health is somehow complicated, but it brings good and quality living if we join hands in protecting and taking care of it. Our next stop will lead us to several challenging physical activities, so I need to change costume again. In 3, 2, and 1. Are you ready to be pumped up? Welcome to Ugong Rock Adventures! Ugong Rock is a stunning limestone rock formation which stands 75 feet high. Within it are caves and narrow passageways leading to a viewing deck situated at the top. It was named as such because a hollow limestone inside the cave makes an ugong or a reverberating sound when tapped. Ugong Rock Adventures offers several thrilling activities like rock climbing, zip lining, zip biking, and most recently, base jumping. Which one will you try first? Good luck and don't forget to wear your safety gears. Whoa! Those were exciting activities right there. Are you still feeling okay, my dear learners turned explorers? I hope you are having a great time on our virtual tour. We might not enjoy it like the normal feeling of adrenaline rush that we usually experience in the actual setting. But we will definitely be experiencing all of these again when this pandemic ends. Let's hope and pray that it will happen the soonest. Anyways, recalling our adventures in Ugong Rock, which is definitely situated in a healthy environment, what do you think are the positive impacts of this kind of environment to us? Some beneficial impacts brought about by a healthy environment are, of course, it builds happy relationships among people and you get to experience wildlife and relaxation. It also provides a peaceful community, and in some sorts, it can be a source of tourism revenue when places are being designed as tourism destinations. It is now time for you to shine. Let's play a game called Picture Perfect. Help me figure out the correct words that tell about the positive impacts of a healthy environment to humans and the community. You will be given 5 seconds to arrange the jumbled letters and analyze the picture or illustration that will be shown as your clue. Got it? Our game begins in 3, 2, and 1. Okay, the correct answer is healthier lifestyles. Living in a healthy environment reduces stress, and people have access to healthy food options and clean resources. The correct answer is reduced mortality and morbidity. Did you guess it right? Mortality, also known as death rate, and morbidity or the rate of disease in a population is being reduced because people tend to have a healthier way of living and the environment improves their health condition. Let's reveal the next picture. Did you answer improve lives of women, children, and elderly? Then you are correct. Living in a healthy environment benefits this most vulnerable group of people that requires further attention and care. And for the last benefit of a healthy environment, let us show the next picture. Oh yes, great thinking. If communities and the environment is healthy, there is always improved productivity of workers and their families. Our virtual tour of the cleanest and greenest city in the Philippines is not yet over. For our last stop, let's make things light and chill as we travel to the pristine waters of Iwahig River. Imagine you and your family and friends are riding on a boat and you see thousands of fireflies illuminating the mangrove trees. These delicate insects only live in a healthy environment, away from pollution and noise, and usually come out around 7 o'clock in the evening. What an incredible way to get closer to nature, reduce stress, improve our mental health, and end our virtual tour of Puerto Princesa City. How's our virtual tour? I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Did you realize that by taking care of the environment, we take care of ourselves too? For our last game today, let's play the game called #YouCompleteMe. I will be mentioning phrases and your task is to complete each item by choosing from the words provided, so that you'll be able to make meaningful sentences about the positive impacts of a healthy environment. Are you ready? Then let's go! Number 1. Our environment needs to keep healthy because it directly impacts human health or may bring natural calamities and misfortunes. The correct answer is our environment needs to keep healthy because it directly impacts human health. Number 2. Some determinants of a blank are safe workplace, well-maintained homes, and sanitary waterworks system. Poor environment or healthy environment. The correct sentence should be some determinants of a healthy environment are safe workplace, well-maintained homes, and sanitary waterworks system. Let's try the third item. Blank is the human-made environment that provides the setting for human activities. Built environment or social environment. All right. Built environment is the human-made environment that provides the setting for human activities. Number 4. A healthy environment can blank when places are being designed as tourism destinations. Be a source of tourism revenue, or reduce natural disasters and disease outbreaks. It should be, a healthy environment can be a source of tourism revenue when places are being designed as tourism destinations. And for the last statement, exposure to healthy environments is associated with mental health benefits or increased risk of respiratory diseases. The correct answer is exposure to healthy environments is associated with mental health benefits. Congratulations because you did an amazing job on this one. Before we end, I am encouraging and at the same time challenging all of you to give your best to educate yourself and practice positive roles in maintaining a healthy environment. Our everyday learnings will be useless if we will not apply it in our daily life. Let's work hand in hand to preserve what's left beautiful in our planet and claim its positive impacts to our health and our communities. I hope you'll be able to join me and Sir Eljay again next week. To our learners turned explorers, it's an honor to have taught, inspired, and empowered you today. Keep safe and make your health a priority. See you in our next learning episode only here on DepEd TV. Bye!